Peace. It's me again, O.G.B.O for Mega Man Codes. You've heard probably all your life, good guys finish last. And that's usually true. But in addition to good guys finishing last, the guys who go out here and try to save females, they usually end up getting crushed. This is how this plays out. Now, the good guy or decent guy, he go out here and he encounters a woman who's been hurt, because this is where it all comes from. Hurt begets hurt. He meets a female who's been dogged out by a man, and she inherits the characteristics of the man who dogged her out. See? And she dogs out the decent man, and he takes the characteristics of the one who hurt him. He reinvents himself, and now he's a so-called alpha. And an alpha male usually is a beta male masking his pain, his hurt. These things are all psychological. But he learns his lesson. He hardens himself up a little bit, becomes more focused on himself, and he guards his heart. See? That's not healing. And really what that does is, he go out here, he meet a woman who has not been messed over, a decent woman, and he turns her into one of these bad bees, these baddies that go out here and become city girls, that dog out men. But hurt begets hurt. Okay? But the guy who tries to save a female, this is a little different. See, he actually loves that woman. And love is the highest form of understanding. When you're falling in love with someone, you are learning them. See? You want to know everything about them. And if you're falling in love with somebody who's occasionally hurting you, you want to know why they're hurting you. But you don't want to know why for the reasons of leaving them alone, because the human being is arrogant. We don't like to admit that we made a mistake. See, your best friend done told you she was no good. Mama and daddy told you that woman was no good. But you don't want to hear I told you so. So you start on the mission of, I'm going to make that woman love me. And let me tell you something, brother. She see you far better than you see her. You have never met a dumb woman. In fact, any woman that you have met, according to the Minister Farrakhan, that you consider dumb, will pull some over on you. And I bear witness to that. I sure have had one or two pull some over on me. But there's no such thing as a dumb woman. She sees you. But see, this is what's going on. You're psychoanalyzing her. See? And you get to going at her, well, you know, the reason you do this is because you didn't have a daddy, and, you know, your uncle touched you, and even though what you're saying may be true, and she recognized the truth in it, but there's another part you're not taking into consideration. You're taking her mask off. See? And behind that mask is a lot of pain, a lot of hurt, that she has not reached a point in her life journey where she's ready to deal with that. That usually comes around late 30s, 40s. See, That's after they done been through the whole phase. See? Where they gonna crash out. Crashing out for a female is just becoming the type of female that almost anybody can lay down with. That's crashing out. This is a woman who is dealing with psychological trauma. We're wrong to call her a hoe. These are women who really need help, but you're not qualified to help her. See? Because you're trying to help her and lay down with her too. And see, that one head get in the way of the other head. You know what I mean? See, sometimes you're helping her with the right head, and other times you're exploiting her for the benefit of the other head. You see how that works? See? This is psychological. Our people need healing. Let me say this also. We are very good at pointing out what we do to each other. But we don't like to point out the colonizer. We don't want to point out the one who has been going in and out of our community for the last 600 years, turning us into the worst version of himself. We don't want to talk about that. See, when we get to talking about that, we become troublemakers. They start flagging our pages and stuff like that. We get canceled. See, as long as we get on these platforms and we bash each other, we can stay on these platforms. But when we get on these platforms and tell the pure, unadulterated truth, you look one day and we gone. One day you're going to look up and I'm going to be gone. I advise you to listen to me now. The good brother usually going to finish last. But the brother who try to save a woman, she's going to dog him. She's going to crush him. Because the more you trying to find her, to find why she is behaving the way she's behaving, the more you're unmasking her, and she's not ready to see herself. She has not seen herself a lot of times since she was a little girl. You have to remember, the black woman has been victimized. On average, more than half of black women by the third grade, I believe the statistics say, by third grade, more than half of the black women that we come in contact with has already been sexualized. Physically, they have been touched, they have been molested, they have been compromised by fathers, by stepfathers, by uncles, by aunts, by brothers, by sisters. It's a lot of this going on in the black community. And this is where trauma starts in. The worst that you could do is take a child's innocence. See? They're unable to understand exactly what you're doing. See? So the mind is wired in such a way. Let me say it this way. Your brain, the chemistry of your brain, the mathematical formulas that make your brain do what it do is more than 10,000 years ahead of all the technology on this planet. But in its infancy, what it does, it allows the person who's been hurt to hide that hurt. That hurt becomes overly aggressive. That hurt becomes eating disorders. See? That hurt becomes wetting beds at 10, 12, 11, 13 years old. That hurt masses itself in different ways that you don't always recognize. This is why it's good if you think a child has been victimized to get that child in to see a therapist, particularly a therapist that looked like him or her. This is O.G.B.O. This is a Mega Man Codes. Till next time. Peace.